Every single night, millions of people perform the exact same mental ritual. They sit on the edge of their bed, stare at the floor, and promise themselves that tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow, they'll wake up at 5 a.m. Tomorrow, they'll pass on the sugar, write the first chapter, and hit the gym. They tell themselves they just need to stop being lazy. They just need more self-discipline. But tomorrow arrives, the alarm rings, and within 12 seconds, that fragile wave of late-night motivation is completely crushed by reality. Why does this happen? Why is it that the harder you force yourself to be disciplined, the faster your willpower seems to shatter? The truth is uncomfortable. The concept of self-discipline, as you've been taught it, is a multi-billion-dollar lie. It's an evolutionary illusion that is systematically destroying your focus and keeping you stuck in a loop of self-blame. We are told that successful people are simply psychological soldiers. We assume they possess an internal drill sergeant capable of screaming them through hours of miserable, agonizing work. We watch a hyper-focused creator or an elite entrepreneur and think, I wish I had their willpower. But behavior design science reveals something else entirely. If you are constantly forcing yourself to do things you hate through sheer mental strength, you aren't building discipline. You are running a countdown timer on an explosive device, and it will go off. To understand why, we have to look inside the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for executive function, decision-making, and resisting impulses. Think of your willpower not as a muscle that grows indefinitely, but as a battery inside an old smartphone. Every single choice you make drains it. Resisting the urge to check your phone at 9 a.m. drains the battery. Forcing yourself to look at a boring spreadsheet at 11 a.m. drains it further. Choosing a salad over a burger at lunch drops it to 40%. By the time you get home at 6 p.m., your neural battery isn't just low, it is completely dead. This is what psychologists call ego depletion. When your cognitive resources are spent, your brain drops down to its default evolutionary programming, survival through comfort. Your brain doesn't care about your 5-year career goals when it's starving for easy energy. It wants dopamine, and it wants it now. So when you blame yourself for eating the pizza or scrolling for 3 hours instead of reading a book, you are blaming your identity for a structural power outage. You didn't fail. Your battery did. But here is where the mystery deepens. If willpower is a depletable battery, how do the most prolific, consistent people on Earth manage to produce massive results day after day without burning out? Do they just have a bigger battery? Actually, no. Neurological scans show that the people who appear to have the highest level of self-discipline actually use less willpower on a daily basis than everyone else. Read that again. They aren't fighting harder battles, they are simply fighting fewer of them. They aren't stronger soldiers. They are smarter architects. Consider an astonishing study conducted on parole judges. Researchers tracked over 1,000 judicial decisions to see what factors predicted whether a prisoner would be granted parole. They analyzed the prisoner's crimes, backgrounds, and rehabilitation records. But none of those things mattered most. Instead, the single greatest predictor of whether a prisoner walked free was the time of day they appeared before the judge. If a prisoner went before the judge first thing in the morning, their chances of getting parole were around 65%. If they went right before the judge's lunch break, their chances dropped to nearly 0%. Why? Because the judges were experiencing severe decision fatigue. Denying parole is the safe default option that requires zero cognitive effort. When the judges' willpower batteries were dead, they couldn't force themselves to do the heavy mental lifting of analyzing a complex case. They defaulted to no. If elite, highly trained professionals with human destinies in their hands cannot force their way past a drained brain, why do you expect yourself to do it while staring at a refrigerator full of junk food or a desk cluttered with distractions? The secret of elite performers is that they completely bypass the willpower system through a process called friction architecture. They understand that human behavior is like water. It will always, without exception, take the path of least resistance. Instead of trying to force the water to flow uphill using raw effort, they simply tilt the landscape. They design environments where doing the right thing is completely effortless, and doing the wrong thing is maddeningly difficult. If you keep your phone on your desk while trying to work, you are burning valuable battery power every single second your eyes drift toward it. Even if you don't pick it up, the act of resisting it actively depletes your brain. You are fighting a war you don't need to fight. But if you place that phone in a completely different room, inside a drawer, under a stack of books, the friction changes. To check a notification, you now have to stand up, walk across the house, open the drawer, and dig it out. Your primitive brain looks at that sequence of events, decides it requires too much energy, and defaults back to the work in front of you. You didn't use discipline, you used geography. Consistency is not a moral victory. It is an environmental design problem. If you want to break a bad habit, don't try to promise yourself you'll stop. Add 3 layers of physical friction between yourself and the trigger. If you want to build a high-value habit, remove every single micro-step between you and the execution. Stop waiting for a wave of motivation to save you. Stop waiting for an internal drill sergeant to appear. Your environment will always win against your willpower over a long enough timeline. Build a space that serves your goals. Protect your cognitive battery and let the system do the heavy lifting for you. If this shifted something in you, 2D Truth drops new videos every week. Hit subscribe, and let's stop fighting our biology and start designing it.